Trump didn't call a meeting. He didn't post a truth or send a memo. He slid a manila envelope across a marble table and locked eyes with Pam Bondi. "This never happened," he said, then stood and left the room. She didn't open it there. She waited until the car door shut, until the driver pulled away from Mar-a-Lago's front gates and the night swallowed the road. Only then did she unseal the flap, slowly, like it might bite. Inside, a sworn affidavit, dated 2019, signed by the original whistleblower from Trump's first impeachment. The name was redacted, but the signature wasn't what froze her blood. It was the handwriting in the margins. Short notes, questions, bullet points. Not from the whistleblower. Those weren't his style. These were instructions, phrased like coaching. Emphasize emotional impact. Don't mention internal doubts. Stay firm. Leave out timeline inconsistency. Not relevant. Bondi read them again. Her hands didn't shake, but her pulse picked up. There was more. Folded inside the affidavit was a small black flash drive, unlabeled. She didn't plug it in until she reached her apartment in D.C. No lights, no phones, no Wi-Fi, just a locked door, a burner laptop, and a USB port. The audio started with static, then a voice, male, calm, professional. It wasn't robotic, it was practiced. "So here's how we'll structure it," the voice said. "Start with the phone call, but don't go line by line. Stick to tone. Use words like pressure and urgency, not orders. Got it?" Another voice, younger, hesitant. "Okay, but what about the timeline of the emails? That part's not your job to explain everything. We're shaping a narrative, not writing a deposition." The first voice was unmistakable. Adam Schiff. Bondi didn't replay it. Not yet. She closed the laptop and stared at the floor for a long time. The voice wasn't angry. It wasn't even anxious. It was calculated, coached, and it had guided the statement that triggered a sitting president's impeachment. She picked up her phone and called Kash Patel. "I need to see you," she said. "I'll meet you in 30, Kash replied. "Bring the folder." An hour later, they sat in a parking garage 4 blocks from the Capitol. No suits, no records, just dim light and cold air. Bondi handed over the flash drive. Kash plugged it into a secure laptop and listened. When the file ended, he leaned back, arms crossed. "Where did you get this?" "Trump handed it to me. Said it's time." Kash nodded slowly. "You know this means war, right?" "I know," Bondi said, "and I'm not backing off." The next morning, she walked into a private legal library downtown. No press, no entourage. Just one trusted former DOJ contact waiting at a conference table. Together, they started piecing the legal framework. Step 1, verify the affidavit. Step 2, track the immunity deal. Step 3, find out who signed it. The name surfaced in less than a day. A federal judge, appointed during the Obama years, known for lenient rulings in politically sensitive cases. The judge had authorized an immunity agreement for the whistleblower, off the books, sealed under executive privilege. But Bondi had more. Kash had uncovered an encrypted email chain between Schiff's office and a third-party legal intermediary. The tone wasn't casual, it was directive. Ensure subject is fully shielded. No leaks, no risk of cross-examination. Another line, Judge Brenshaw is on board. We'll fast-track the paperwork. Brenshaw, the judge who signed the immunity. Bondi closed the email and stared at the screen. "They built this," she said quietly. "Every inch of it." That night, she didn't sleep. She reviewed the timeline again, layering every public statement Schiff had made during impeachment over the affidavit's original content. The contradictions weren't subtle. They were weaponized. He told America that the whistleblower acted independently, without guidance, out of patriotic duty. But here was his voice on tape, managing every detail like a stage director. Bondi drafted a confidential legal summary. It was 12 pages, with embedded audio timestamps and visual exhibits. She sent it directly to Trump. No fanfare, no speech. 2 words in the subject line, "Ready now." Trump replied with a single period. 3 days later, Schiff appeared on MSNBC, denouncing unnamed leaks and claiming a wave of right-wing disinformation was headed for Congress. Bondi didn't respond. She called the whistleblower instead. It took time. He'd been moved out of state, working under a new name, shielded from subpoenas. But one contact led to another. A former colleague, a family friend, a burner number. She called it. He answered. Silence. I know what they made you say, Bondi said, and I know what it cost you. Still silence. Then a soft breath. You weren't supposed to find me. I'm not here to expose you, she said. I'm here to give you the chance to tell the truth. He hesitated, then, only behind closed doors. No cameras, no names. I can do that. That night, Bondi called Cash. We've got him. He's coming in. Cash didn't cheer. He just said, then we're almost there. 2 days later, the whistleblower gave a private deposition in a secured federal facility. 3 lawyers present, 1 recorder. He admitted everything. He'd been approached by Schiff's staff weeks before going public. He didn't write the complaint alone. He didn't even submit the final draft. Someone else did. Bondi listened without interrupting. Her hands were still. Her eyes didn't leave him. At the end, he looked up. They said if I didn't cooperate, they'd burn my job, my clearance, my name. I didn't have a choice. You just made one, Bondi said quietly. The legal strategy was clear now. This wasn't going to be a press conference. This was going to be a reckoning. Bondi filed a formal request for a congressional hearing, citing new evidence of procedural misconduct, witness tampering, and judicial overreach. Schiff's office tried to block it, but the votes went through. Hearing date locked. 2 nights before the hearing, Bondi sat in a temporary war room near Capitol Hill. Kash Patel was on one laptop. Her DOJ contact was prepping exhibits. Outside, press vans lined the sidewalk. Inside, no one spoke. They knew what they were about to walk into. Not a hearing, a gunfight with facts instead of bullets. The morning of the hearing, Schiff walked in wearing a Navy suit, calm as ever. His smile didn't reach his eyes. He greeted the chairman, adjusted his mic, and waited. Bondi entered from the side door. No statement, no folder, just a thin flash drive in her hand. The chairman gavelled in. Let the record show that this hearing has been called in response to new material evidence related to prior impeachment proceedings. Schiff cut in. Mr. Chairman, before we begin, I'd like to state for the record that this is nothing more than a politically motivated charade designed to smear and distract. Bondi spoke without turning. Let the evidence decide that, Congressman. She plugged in the flash drive. The screen lit up. First, the affidavit, unredacted, with side notes visible. Then the audio. Schiff's voice filled the chamber. Start with tone. Emphasize pressure. Don't get bogged down in timeline inconsistencies. The room fell still. The chairman leaned forward. Congressman Schiff, can you confirm that's your voice? Schiff didn't answer. Bondi clicked to the next exhibit, the email from Schiff's aide to Judge Brenshaw's intermediary. Shield fully, no cross-examination risk, fast-track immunity. Then the immunity deal itself. Signed, sealed, hidden. Schiff tried to object. This is being taken out of context, Bondi cut in. Let's give the full context then. She played the second part of the audio, the whistleblower's voice. But isn't this misleading? Then Schiff's response. We don't need every part to be accurate. We need the outcome. Gasps. One staffer dropped a pen. Another whispered something inaudible. Reporters stared at screens. Bondi faced the chairman. Mr. Chairman, I submit that this committee was misled, manipulated, and used to carry out a partisan operation against a sitting president. The evidence is not speculative. It is recorded. It is documented. And it is criminal. The chairman turned to Schiff. Schiff was pale. Then came the voice of the whistleblower, piped in via secure audio. His deposition played aloud for the record. I was approached before I filed. I didn't write the final version. I was told what to say, what to omit, and what to emphasize. I was promised immunity, and I was afraid. Bondi turned toward the room. He's not the villain here. He's the proof. The chairman's hands shook slightly as he lifted the final statement. In light of today's testimony, Congressman Adam Schiff is formally referred to the Department of Justice for witness tampering, procedural fraud, an abuse of congressional authority. No applause, just silence. And wait. Bondi didn't smile. She didn't nod. She packed her flash drive and stood. Outside, the cameras were already spinning. Headlines were forming. The smear machine was warming up. But none of it mattered now. The lie had been documented. And the truth had finally spoken for itself. Bondi didn't hold a press conference. She didn't pose for the cameras. She walked out the back of the Capitol, coat pulled tight, jaw locked. Behind her, reporters yelled her name. She didn't stop. Ahead, her car waited, unmarked, windows blacked out. Cash was already inside. "Any regrets?" he asked quietly. She didn't answer at first. Then, "Only that we waited this long." Across the country, networks scrambled to contain the fire. MSNBC hosted panels speculating whether the recording had been deep-faked. CNN ran back-to-back segments questioning the motives of the whistleblower. The New York Times released an opinion piece titled, "The Dangerous Rise of Selective Transparency." But it was too late. Truth had slipped the leash. Natalie Winters was already writing. Her thread on X went live at 11:03 a.m. No emojis, no hashtags. Just screenshot after screenshot, emails, memos, timestamps, Schiff's voice in plain text. One tweet read, "If you ever wondered whether impeachment was theater, here's the director's notes." By noon, it had 5 million views. By 3 p.m., Bondi's inbox was filled with legal threats, ethics complaints, and anonymous warnings. One message read, "You've crossed a line you can't uncross." She archived it. Another simply said, "You'll never practice law again." She printed that one and stapled it to a folder labeled "Expected Outcomes." By nightfall, protesters gathered outside her office. Some held signs calling her a traitor. Others stood in silence, holding candles. Inside, Bondi reviewed the documents again, not because she doubted them, because she knew what was coming. Retractions, distractions, smears. The system would protect itself, but this time it had a tear in it, and truth was leaking through. At 6 a.m. the next day, Schiff called a press conference. He spoke without a teleprompter. His voice was slower, softer. He didn't deny the emails. He didn't deny the recording. He said, "Narratives can be constructed from any set of facts. Context matters. Motive matters. Fear matters." Then he walked away from the podium without taking questions. Behind him, a staffer looked like she'd aged 10 years overnight. At the Justice Department, phones rang nonstop. One internal memo leaked that afternoon. A preliminary ethics review had begun. Another leak, Judge Brenshaw had been placed under sealed review, pending confirmation of immunity coordination. Bondi didn't smile when she heard. She just kept working. Natalie arrived in D.C. that evening. She carried one duffel bag, 2 burner phones, and a binder thicker than a college textbook. Cash picked her up himself. "Last chance to back out," he said. Natalie smirked. "I didn't come this far to blink." They met Bondi at a secure location in Georgetown. Inside, the mood wasn't victorious. It was surgical. Natalie handed over 2 new pages, communications between Schiff's office and a media consultant, dated 3 days before the whistleblower complaint went public. One line read, "We'll frame it as a moral awakening. Paint him reluctant but compelled." Another, "Use the phrase, 'no choice but to speak.' That tests well with focus groups." Bondi exhaled. They had the script written before the actor stepped on stage. The next day, Bondi filed a supplemental request with the Congressional Oversight Committee. She wanted Natalie added as a formal witness. The committee pushed back. So did the media. But the public? They wanted more. Natalie's next tweet read, "They asked why I'm doing this. The answer is simple. Because someone has to be louder than the lie." The hearing date was advanced. This time, it would be public. And live. When the day arrived, Bondi and Natalie walked into the chamber together. No handlers, no team, just 2 women and a binder full of secrets that weren't supposed to survive. Schiff sat at the far end of the table, flanked by legal counsel. His tie was loose. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his microphone. The chairman opened with a statement. "Today we continue our examination of ethical misconduct, false testimony, and suppression of legal protocol during impeachment proceedings." Bondi spoke first. She recapped the audio, the emails, the immunity. Then Natalie took the stand. The room fell silent. She laid out the timeline, showed the media strategy memos, played a second audio clip, one not yet aired, where a Schiff staffer discussed which networks would be receptive to leaking the complaint ahead of official release. Then she said, "I was told for years that the only way to keep faith in the system was to lie about what I saw. I chose not to." The room held its breath. Bondi didn't interrupt. She didn't add to it. She just looked around the chamber, at the lawmakers, the aides, the press. Then she said, "This wasn't about removing a president. It was about controlling a narrative. And now that narrative is unraveling." When the hearing adjourned, Schiff didn't return to his office. He exited through a side door, escorted by security. Natalie walked out the front. Microphones swarmed her. She stopped just once and said, "If telling the truth is political now, then maybe politics was always the problem." Bondi met her on the Capitol steps. "Still standing," Bondi said. Natalie nodded. "Not for long if they have their way." Bondi looked out at the crowd. "Then we better make this count." That night, Trump made a rare televised statement. No yelling, no jabs. Just this: "They told you to trust the system, but the system never trusted you." Back in her apartment, Bondi stood at the window, watching the city lights flicker like signals. She wasn't angry. She wasn't afraid. She was ready. Ready for the next lie. Ready for the next fight. And this time, the country would be watching. Because now they knew what to look for. And more importantly, they knew who to trust.